Hello everyone. Today we are looking at value and shading. Value in art has nothing to do with the price of something. So it's not like looking at something being like, this is new and the value is $5. For art, in art terms, value deals with dark to light or vice versa. So when we start working on value, we're just going to focus on creating this dark to light. So what I want you to do is divide your paper into two parts. We're going to come back to this side in a little bit. So the first thing that we're going to do on this side is we're going to write gradients. Write the word gradient. A gradient is just a visual on how to see dark to light. So what we're going to do underneath is create a long rectangle. We're going to do another one on the bottom. Keep this spot open because we're probably going to add a couple more. In this first rectangle, we're going to divide it into 7 spots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's okay if not perfectly even. Underneath here, or you can do it above, I'm going to put dark with an arrow to light. Like I said, a gradient is a visual. In this case, it's a scale. So we're going to start way at the end. We're going to color this in as dark as we can with our pencil. Now you can imagine if this is really dark as we can go with our pencil, on this side is going to be the lightest we can go with our pencil, which is nothing. All right, it's going to stay white. So what we want to do is create a gradual change from dark to light. So as you go on to the next box, you want it to be lighter than this, but not too light because you got to get all the way to white. So I'm just lighting up with my pencil some. I'm going to go to the next box and light up some more. Keep going. Now I feel like I'm changing too abruptly. Like I don't think I'm going to get to my dark, my light. So maybe go back and kind of make it a little darker. You should still be able to see your steps. These boxes are called steps. So when I look at these two, they look too similar. So now that we have a gradient and steps from dark to light, now we're going to do this one without steps. That means it's still going to go dark to light. You could have it go the other way if you want. But this time we're not going to have these boxes. We're just going to shift it from dark all the way to light. Make sure you stretch out your gradient or your value from really dark to really light. So again, this is going to stay white, but this is going to get dark. I like to have a couple of pencils around when I do stuff like this because my lead is going to get dull pretty fast because I'm coloring it in with my pencil. So now that I have my dark, I'm going to slowly get lighter. Then lighter. And lighter. Okay. If you feel like, I still feel like with this one that this is too dark and it's getting too light too fast, that means I might have to go back and adjust. if you feel like you get too dark over here, say this has got too dark, use your eraser, almost like your pencil, to bring back the light. So now that we have our dark to light in steps and our dark to light continuous, that means it keeps going, we're going to do one more. This one is going to be kind of a challenge. So labeling it dark to light. It's another continuous scale, and you're going to choose one color. So I'm going to choose, I'm going to choose green. I have a green. This is a woodless color pencil. I would not use a marker, but you could use crayon. Okay, and you're going to start dark. And you're going to get all the way to the lightest form of green, which is going to be very, very light green or almost white. I'm going to move mine a little bit just to get a better feel of my color pencil. The only thing with like crayon or color pencil, you can't really erase unless you have an erasable. Alright, so there's my dark to light with my crayon, or my color pencil. Alright, next we're going to move on to this side. We're going to do more practice with value and gradients and then in the upcoming lessons. Here we have some shading that we're going to work on. Alright, the shading that we're going to work on is for forms. A form is a 3D shape. The shape that we're going to look at, or the form we're going to look at, is a sphere. A sphere is a 3D circle, like a ball. So we're going to go ahead and draw in a circle. Oh man, that's a messed up circle. Looking better. Okay, I'm going to switch pencils. All right, so when we are shading a sphere, we have a couple components that aid in the factor of how it's going to be shaded. So shading a sphere or any form has to do with still life, which we'll get to later, but it has a light where the light's coming down and where the shadow is going. So if you ever had a ball in front of you and you looked at it, it has where the light is touching and where the shadow is coming out. Just like if you were standing outside and it's really sunny out, you have a shadow. So the sphere also has a shadow. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw an arrow from the corner here, and this is the light. If the light is hitting here, direction is down, we're going to draw a little circle here. I'm drawing kind of light. This is the highlight. This is the little like highlight, little circle is going to be the whitest part. So the lightest part. If that's the highlight, then the shadow is going to be on the opposite side. So here's the highlight, and the shadow is going to kind of go off my frame, but it's going to be right there. Now this is going to be the darkest. So if this is the highlight, this is going to stay white, and this is the darkest. From our scale, we're going to color this in with our pencil. All right, now that I have my highlight and my darkest area, I'm going to start doing my shading using that value, dark to light. So my dark to light isn't going to go this way because this is my highlight. This is going to go from dark to light this way. So this is going to be the darkest, and this is going to be my lightest. So I'm going to start with my pencil, and I'm going to make this. I'm going to start going dark. I'm basically doing this, but I'm doing it on the sphere. So, and as I get closer to the light, I'm going to start lifting up my pencil. I'm just going to leave my arrow in there. No, I have a little streak there. Now I'm going to do that over here. Remember, if you feel like you're getting too dark, like I still think I'm getting too dark by the time I get here, I can take my eraser, kind of erase back in, so I can get my light. And I'm still kind of far away from the circle, so I'm going to kind of bring it up. I'm doing a little bit on this side, not a lot, because you're not going to really see that much of the dark and the light. So you should be right up to that light area. I'm also just going to add a line in the back for the ground. Now, one thing you can do, and I like to give a disclaimer about how to blend. I personally don't blend that often because there is a thing called over blending. And when you over blend, everything looks like a big gray blob. So right now we can tell the difference between dark and light, and we can see the dark here. We're going to take our finger, but you can also take like a Q-tip or a Kleenex, okay? But it's very specific, okay? You're not going like this with your Q-tip or with your tissue. You're being very specific on where you're shading. So I'm going to shade right here with my finger. And you're going to notice I'm going to get this lead on my finger. That's just coming off the paper, and that's okay. Again, I'm not going like this. I do not want a gray blob. Repeat, I do not want a gray blob. All this is doing is kind of trying to blend my lines a little bit that from shading. So say I go in here and I start covering up my white. As you can see, my white is now gone and it's a big gray blob. That's okay. You have trusty eraser to help you out. You can always take your eraser back in and erase to give you that light. And I'm complete. So make sure for this assignment you have your gradients, you should have 3, and your sphere.